there, welcome to day 1 of your online learning. Today we're going to continue on from where we left off, which is finding the focus, directrix, and axis of symmetry of a parabola. Now we're going to be using the vertex form of a quadratic equation to solve, to find them. And what we mean by the vertex form, we're talking about these two forms right over here. All right. So we have this one, it's y minus k squared is equal to 4px minus h. And then we have this other one, x minus h squared is equal to 4py minus k. The difference between these two is that you have, one of them has y squared isolated, and you have this one which has x squared isolated. All right? And here are the possible graphs we can get. Now, let's just do a bit of review. Now, let's say we have something like this. Our parabola equation is x is equal to negative 1/10 y squared. So if we want to go ahead and start finding our 3 points, we need to get this equation into the same form as one of these equations. So we want to make this look like any of these. Now, the first step we need to do is identify which is the variable being squared, or which one has the exponent 2, which is the y right over here. This one has the exponent 2. So if I look back at my notes like this, right, I can just see, oh, wait, I want to use this form right over here. I want to use this form because y is squared. Now, look at this. Look, compare these, right? The y squared, there's nothing being multiplied to it, right? So we want to move this negative 1/10 over to the other side. Now, to do that, we're actually going to multiply by the reciprocal. We've seen problems like this before. So what I mean by that, some of you could already remember, negative 1/10, I can just flip that over to being negative 10 over 1, or just plain negative 10. So I'm going to multiply both sides by negative 10. All right. So I just multiplied both sides by negative 10. And here, some of you have been asking, well, why can't I just go ahead and add them both, right? Why can't I just add 1/10 to both sides? If you're adding 1/10 to both sides, right? When you add like coefficients with their variables, like attached to each other, you're moving both of them at the same time. So if you want to do plus 1/10, you won't just move the 1/10, you'll also bring the y squared over. And remember, we want to get the y squared by itself. All right, so we multiplied by the reciprocal. So this cancels out this. And then we're left with this right over here. Negative 10x is equal to y squared. So great, now we have my y squared isolated, so I can go ahead and just use my, rewrite that form. So that form was y minus k squared, I'm just copying it from the notes right over here, is equal to, I just flipped it over, right, is equal to 4p x minus h, right? So I just rewrote the form, and now I'm just going to fill in my h and k. So with my y squared, there's nothing being subtracted to it, so I'm just going to write y minus 0 squared. The same thing with the x. There's nothing being subtracted to it, so I'm just going to write x minus 0. And then my 4p, the whole thing, I'm going to replace it with negative 10. All right. So there, I just went ahead and replaced everything. Now, from just doing this, I just found out one important thing, right? I found my vertex. So your vertex is always going to be whatever the numbers h and k are. They're going to give me the coordinates. Now, they're both 0, so I'm just going to write 0, 0. That is my vertex. Now, I could go ahead on my graph and mark down where 0, 0 is at. So 0, 0 is over here, right? It's in the origin. And now I just want to go ahead and use this information over here. Now I'm trying to find P, what P is equal to. And this P right over here is going to tell me the number of spaces from your vertex to your focus. And the number of spaces from your vertex to your directrix. They're just going to be in opposite sides. Okay, so I just want to set for P equal to -10, equal to -10, right? And to do that, I'm going to divide both sides by 4. Now this is going to not give me an even number, but you know, I can still work with it. Okay, so -10 divided by 4, that is 2. Negative, because a negative divided by a positive is a negative. This is going to be -2.5. All right. So now I found out that this is my p-value. Now, if we look back in our notes again, this is telling me a couple of things, right? Now, well, first, since we're looking at y being squared, we know that our graph is going to open sideways. It'll either open to the positive values or to the negative values, right? Now, my p is a -2.5. That's less than 0, so it's going to open to the left. And it's going to move from the vertex 2.5 spaces to the left. So this, my focus is 2.5 spaces to the left of our vertex. And the directrix, it's going to be in the opposite direction, right? So it's going to be 2.5 spaces away from the parabola. Okay, so let's just go ahead. All right, and draw that out. So this is my -1, and that's my -2, and this is my -3, right? So here, if I'm starting, so -2.5 should be between -2 and 3. So that's my focus. That's my focus point. So I found one of them. I found one of the things I need to find. Now I'm just going to sketch my parabola. I'm not looking for it to be exact here. Just, you know, it's here. It's facing this direction. All right. And now from here, I can find my directrix, right? So my directrix is always going to face away from the parabola. So 1, 2, 3, and it should be about here, like between the 2 and the 3. And I just want to make a line because my directrix is, it's always a line. All right, cool. All right, so I got my directrix, got everything. That's my directrix. And now I need to find my axis of symmetry. So axis of symmetry, that's the line that cuts this whole parabola in half. So let's see, we can use this axis right over here. So this whole x-axis, that's my axis of symmetry, all right? So my focus is a point. So my focus will be, whoa, wow, no space, no, dear. Okay, so my focus is going to be negative 2.50, right? My directrix, oh, you cannot see that. My directrix is, it's touching the x-axis, so it's going to be x is equal to positive 2.5 because it's in the opposite way, and my axis of symmetry is the x-axis. All right. Whoa. So that was just a review of what we were going over before we left. All right.